on everyone's minds is right now there's a really low congressional approval rate in the country. People really are, they're disappointed with Congress. They're disappointed with how things are going, and not very many people approve of congressmen. Why are you wanting to go into something that so many people disapprove of, and why is it so important for you to become a new member of Congress?
Well, because I think that we need to elect some officials who will represent their constituents. My goal, if I'm elected to go to Congress, is to represent the residents of District 1 and the people of South Alabama and do what's in the best interest of the American people. I don't think that we need a radical extremist who's clearly indicated that he's going to go to Congress and continue on with all of this ridiculous stuff that's been going on up in Washington, government shutdowns, and just this blind opposition to any of the policies that our president proposes. And I don't think that we need an establishment politician who basically is getting a lot of money from people in Washington, a lot of special interest groups. I don't think we want Washington deciding who's going to represent us. I think we need the people of District 1 to decide who's going to represent us. And my goal is to go there and pursue my agenda, and that is jobs, improving our educational system, and protecting our environment, and working to support our veterans.
So can you explain to me then just a little bit about how you will better represent our district and how you will kind of move our district forward through congressional representing?
Well, I consider myself to be a conservative Democrat. Probably many would refer to me as a moderate. I consider myself to be a bit of a moderate. I'm a reasonable-minded person, and I'm not going to be a crony for President Obama. But certainly I do support some of the things that the Obama administration is proposing, and I don't support everything that the Obama administration is proposing. But certainly I think that we need bipartisanship, and we need some elected officials who are willing to try to do what's in the best interest of the American people, and not what's in the best interest of a political party or furthering misguided ideologies.
And can you just give me some specific examples of things that you do and do not support that you think will help move this country forward?
Well, as far as the Affordable Health Care Act goes, or the Affordable Care Act, it's a flawed piece of legislation. It's problematic. But we've got over 30 million people in this country who need health care. The state of Alabama, of course, we have one of the highest infant mortality rates here in the state of Alabama. We have one of the lowest or least life expectancies in the state of Alabama, and we also have high indicators of poor health. We need health care in Alabama, and our governor has rejected Medicare dollars that were allotted for our state, and apparently the state of Alabama has also rejected the Affordable Care Act, and our people in Alabama need health care. The Affordable Health Care Act, or the Affordable Care Act, is not a perfect piece of legislation. It's flawed, but you don't shut down our government because you have a piece of legislation on the books that is flawed, that needs to be worked through, that needs to be reworked, not repealed. I think that if we really analyze this piece of legislation, and if we really take a look at it, we'll see that the American people need some form of health care. And this is an alternative. It's not a perfect alternative, but it is a viable alternative that if we can rework some aspects of it.
And now to just speak a little bit about today and how today is the runoff between the two Republican nominees. Can you explain a little bit about how your feelings on today's elections and how you're going to try to move your campaign forward for the coming election day between whoever you might run against?
Well, I don't think that we're going to be able to raise, certainly we're not going to be able to raise as much money as Bradley Byrne has raised or Dean Young. This is a very grassroots type of campaign. It's a very grassroots effort. And we want to build hope in the people of Southern Alabama. We want to build hope in the people of this district. I think the nation is watching us right now. The whole nation is watching this election, not just the runoff, but the general election as well. And they want to see what's going to happen, what we're going to do here in Southern Alabama. And I personally think that some of the people in Southern Alabama are just as fed up as I am with what's going on up in Washington. And I think that they're going to send a resounding message to the nation that we want change here in Southern Alabama and here in America and in Washington.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add about the election and how your campaign is going?
Well, once again, I don't think that we need to send an establishment politician who is basically being financed by special interest groups in Washington. I don't think we need people in Washington deciding who is going to represent us here in District 1 in South Alabama. And I also don't think that we need an extremist or a radical in Washington who embraces the views of people like Ted Cruz and individuals like that, because that's just counterproductive. And I think that this is what so many Americans right now are frustrated with in terms of what's going on up in Congress. I think we need reasonable leaders who are willing to work with the members of Congress and who are willing to say, hey people, let's put all our differences aside and let's say we're Americans first and foremost, and let's do what's best for the American people. This country needs us. This country needs us to do what's reasonable and rational and logical for everyone. And I'm willing to do that. I'm a reasonable, rational, logical person, and I'm a leader who is not bent at any one particular way of thinking. The only way of thinking that I embrace right now is the thinking of the members of our congressional district. I want to go to represent Southern Alabama. I am from this area. I grew up here. I was raised here. My family has a lot of history here. I love the people of this district, and I am committed to doing what's in the best interest of our constituents here in District 1.
Thank you very much. And just one other question too. As single-handedly as one representative, how do you feel that you can best contribute to the Congress, and how, just as one person, you feel you can make a little bit of a difference in our Congress?
Well, as one person, I think that leadership is important. Certainly as a freshman congressman, you know, I would be a freshman congressman. And so certainly to a certain extent, I'm not going to be able to take a major leadership role. But overall, I think there's a national movement to get rid of a lot of these Tea Party Republicans and a lot of the Republicans that are just seem to be anti-establishment and anti-American at this point. I think a lot of what's been going on is un-American in Washington. And we need to send real Americans to Washington who are willing to do what's in the best interest of the people of America. This country is struggling. There are people out here who are hungry, who are starving. There are people out here who are, are unemployed, people who are homeless, people who are retired and have very little retire on. I mean, people who need health care. And we need an elected official who is cognizant of this and who's willing to try to work toward some solutions that will try to bring our country back to an economic recovery, that will try to put our country back where we need to be and the American people back where we need to be. District 1 has got so many tremendous developments going on right now, and we need an elected official who's willing to fight for District 1 and make sure that we get the resources that we need here in District 1 to attract these jobs and to bring the revenue and the economic opportunities here that we're expecting and anticipating. And I'm willing to work tirelessly to make that happen.